This is Scott the Fixer Guy. Today we have a Maytag dishwasher that is not cleaning well. Things on the upper rack are not getting cleaned at all, and sometimes the soap door opens, but the soap doesn't really get melted. It doesn't really get dissolved. So I think there's some clog down here in the bottom of the dishwasher. We're going to remove this upper arm by grabbing that little bolt and then spinning the lower arm to the left, which is counterclockwise. We're going to take out these Torx 15 screws that is holding the filter assembly in place, and we're going to probably find a bunch of junk underneath the filter, stuff that kind of sneaks by and accumulates over the years. And we've got to get to one of these other screws, but we have to get this arm out of the way. So I'm going to release these clips here in the middle on this tube that takes water up to the upper spray arms, and now I moved it out of the way. But to really get it out of there, I'm going to go ahead and undo the clips that are on the very highest spray arm, the little tiny spray arm at the very top. Just going to push these metal clips out to the left and out to the right until they let go, and then I can just grab the whole thing and pull it out, get it out of the way. There we go. So I'm going to remove that Torx 15 screw that was hiding underneath that arm, and then to get it out of there I'll use like a standard head screwdriver to pry it up. Give me a little leverage. You want to make sure you get all the screws out first. Pull that out of the way, and then looking in there I can see there is a lot of junk caught in there, all kinds of stuff, little pieces of glass, food debris, and that's just limiting how well the circulation pump can pull water in and circulate water. It's kind of like it's choked off. So I took out another one of the Torx 10 screws that let me pull off this plastic gate. This kind of keeps stuff from getting into the circulation pump. It's really filthy, dirty with stuff. And I'm going to start cleaning this stuff up. So I'm going to just pull things out with needle nose pliers. I'm going to use a standard head screwdriver to pull it up. One thing though is I'll get some of the water out by using a turkey baster to pull out as much water as I can. That just makes it easier to get all the junk out. And then I'll reach in there with my fingers, pull stuff out, needle nose pliers. There's a little chunk of metal. Might just remove this upper tray too to get it out of the way to give me a little more room to work. So I'm going to pull off the clips on the end, and then I can pull out the upper tray just to have more room to work. And yeah, I'm just using this screwdriver to help pry out some of the stuff that gets caught in there. A lot of junk. So it is really wise to rinse your dishes. Some people argue, no, the machine's supposed to do that. But if you always put in dirty dishes that have a lot of particulate matter on it, this is what's going to happen. And you're going to have a dishwasher that really doesn't clean well unless you're willing to do this deeper cleaning. But if you always rinse them off before you put them in, you won't have this problem. So I'm using a steel brush to clean this wire mesh filter that's just prior to the circulation pump, and I'm getting that really clean. It was so dirty that I would say only about 5% of the water could flow through. It's about 95% occlusion. So you can get all that junk out of there, and this may take a little while, maybe a good 10 minutes for you to be able to see all the junk and pull it out with the various tools, but you really want to get it super clean. This is the gate that had a lot of the material caught in it. So cleaning that up, getting all that junk out of there. So this thing really does help to keep big things from getting in and jamming up the circulation motor, which is great. But after a while, so much stuff does build up that the water just has a hard time getting to the pump, and then the pump can't push enough volume of water up into the upper spray arms, and that's when you get the weird problems like nothing on the upper rack is getting clean. It's usually not a water level problem, but it's a problem of water volume not being able to move because of restriction because of the food debris. So we got it pretty well cleaned up. I'm going to put the plastic cover back in, and then I'll put that screw in that holds it in. I think it's a Torx 10 screw. Zip that in. And then before we put in the filter assembly, you can actually do a little bit of cleaning of the top filter. Some of these models you can pry off the top screen to really get in and clean it, and some you can't. This one it's possible. So I just took a standard head screwdriver. I just kind of pried around along the perimeter, and then once I got it off, I just started cleaning that with hot water and using a brush to get that filter clean. Look how bad that is. It's really caught a bunch of junk. So now we're just rinsing that all off. Getting all that junk out of there. And this dishwasher is going to do really good now. It's going to clean like it's brand new. These circulation motors tend to really just go for years and years and years. And the only thing that really messes them up is an inability to move the water, because there's just so much stuff blocking the water from coming into the pump. So I'm using a brush now to clean off that mesh. So they say you shouldn't totally wash the dishes before you put them in. You just want to rinse off the main stuff. Having a little bit of dirt on there is good because it actually activates the detergent. If you don't have that, the detergent really doesn't do much. Just clean that up, and then we'll go ahead and put that back on by just pushing it into position and pressing down. You'll see when you put the two pieces back together that it only fits one way. Just going to clean up the base. And if you don't want to rinse your dishes, you could just do this like every 6 months and it should still be okay. So putting that back into position, and then I'm just going to use my thumbs to click it down into place. And then I'll put this assembly back into the dishwasher, and it only fits in one way. You can kind of figure it out. And then I'll add those Torx 15 screws back in. There we go, and sped up the camera here a little bit. I'm just checking the very upper spray arm, making sure there's no stuff caught in these nozzles, but it looks good. Then I'll reinstall this thing. Checking also the upper rack, making sure there's nothing caught in this tube. And putting the lower arm back in. First I put in this little center nut, it just sits in there. Then I'm going to put the spray arm in over with the arm at about 2 o'clock, and then I'll swing it to the 12 o'clock position. It locks it into these lugs that hold it in, and then once it's in position, I'll push it back against the clips that are in the middle. There's 2 metal clips that hold it in. I'll push it back into the clips, and then I'll kind of pull the clips in over the plastic. I'll do the same thing at the top. There's two metal clips that hold in the plastic. Push them in, lock them in. So we've got the upper spray arm locked in. We're going to put the lower arm in position. I'm going to grab the nut and turn it clockwise. or I'm sorry, counterclockwise will lock it in. Putting in the lower drawer. Upper drawer is going to fit in inside the rail. There's going to be 4 wheels altogether, 2 on each side go into the rail, and we'll put the little caps back on. Kind of push in the bottom, then push in the top. There we go. And we'll give it a little test here. So a good way to test it is to put in something on the upper rack while it's running, like a glass or a bowl facing up for a couple of minutes, and then let it run. And if the glass fills up with water, you know that you did a good job, it's working correctly. If it doesn't fill up, that means there's still an obstruction or the circulation pump is getting weak. So this totally worked. Thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe to our channel when you get a chance.